Welcome back, focused learners. Today, we're diving into a plant I can almost guarantee you've seen before, even if you couldn't put a name to it. It's literally the unsung hero of the floral industry, and as we're going to see, an absolutely fantastic addition to your home. We are, of course, talking about the leatherleaf fern. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to care for this beautiful, glossy green plant, giving you the complete care guide you need to confidently keep it thriving.
Okay, let's dive right into this. 7. So, what's the deal with that number? Well, the leatherleaf fern is famously known as the 7 weeks fern, and the reason why is pretty amazing. When you cut its leathery, dark green fronds for a floral arrangement, they have an incredible vase life that can last up to 7 whole weeks. That unbelievable durability is exactly why florists just love it. But here's the thing, that exact same hardiness is what makes it such a remarkably rewarding houseplant for us.
Here's our complete care toolkit for today. 1. Meet the fern. 2. Ideal environment. 3. Watering and feeding. 4. Maintenance. And 5. Pests and problems. All right, let's get to it.
Section 1. Meet the fern, Rumohra adiantiformis. Native to a huge range of regions across the southern hemisphere, we're talking everywhere from South America to Australia, this plant is highly forgiving and incredibly resilient. Honestly, whether it's growing naturally on the forest floor or just sitting right there in your living room, it adapts. Look, if you've ever tried to keep a notoriously finicky maidenhair fern alive indoors, you know the absolute heartbreak of watching it turn crispy and drop leaves if you just, look at it the wrong way. Well, the leatherleaf fern is totally different. It carries an easy to moderate difficulty rating, it's tough as nails, and it's here to completely bust the myth that all ferns are high-maintenance divas.
Section 2. The ideal growing environment. Setting the foundation.
Let's look at the specific targets here to get that perfect setup. For light, you really want medium to bright indirect light. An east or north-facing window usually does the trick perfectly. But hey, definitely hear this warning. You absolutely must avoid direct, intense sun. It will literally scorch those beautiful glossy green fronds right up, turning them brown or yellow. For temperature, a comfortable room ranging from 60 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal. Just keep them away from cold drafts or hot radiators. And as for humidity, well, while they tolerate normal household air way better than most ferns, aiming for moderate to high humidity, so around 50 to 70%, is really going to give you the most lush, vibrant growth.
Now, what about underneath the soil surface? Leatherleaf ferns need a potting mix that holds on to moisture, but also drains exceptionally well. This DIY soil recipe hits all those notes perfectly. 2 parts peat moss or cocoa coir provides moisture retention and that slightly acidic pH the fern really prefers. Then, 1 part compost gives it those great organic nutrients. And crucially, this is the big one, 1 part perlite, coarse sand, or fine pine bark. That creates the necessary drainage so your fern isn't just sitting in a swamp.
Moving on to Section 3. Watering and feeding. Daily routines.
What's really fascinating is how distinctly this plant actually communicates its distress if your watering routine is a little off. Let's translate those symptoms for a second. If you're overwatering, the plant is going to tell you through yellowing fronds, maybe a foul smell coming from the soil, or a wilting look even when the soil is completely wet. That's a huge red flag for root suffocation and mushy rot. On the flip side, if you're underwatering, the fronds will still droop, sure, but they'll turn brown and crispy at the edges. So one is rotting, and the other is genuinely thirsty.
To avoid both of those extremes, just follow these 2 simple rules. First, water thoroughly when the top inch of the soil feels slightly dry to the touch. Second, for feeding, use a balanced liquid houseplant fertilizer but dilute it to half strength. Do that about every 4 to 6 weeks during the active growing season. And here is an absolutely critical pro tip from our source material. Always water the plant thoroughly before applying your fertilizer. If you apply it to totally dry soil, you run a super high risk of burning those sensitive roots, and we definitely want to avoid that.
Section 4. Maintenance and pruning. Keeping it sized and healthy.
Okay, so before we talk about repotting, we really need to understand a vital piece of the plant's anatomy, the rhizome. Basically, these are the thick, often scaly, creeping stems that sit right at the base of the plant. The roots grow down from them and the fronds grow up from them. Understanding the rhizome is entirely critical to the next step of our complete care guide.
About every 2 to 3 years, you're going to need to repot your fern in the spring. You'll carefully unpot it, loosen any tightly coiled roots, and trim away any mushy parts. Then place it in a new pot, but make sure that pot is only 1 to 2 inches wider than the old one. Now, as you do this, the absolute most crucial step of the entire process is number 4. Keep those rhizomes at or just below the soil surface. Seriously, if you bury those creeping rhizomes deep down into the soil, they are going to rot and the plant will decline. Keep them right near the top.
As you're maintaining your plant, looking closely at its fronds, you might find yourself wondering, and actually this is a super common question, do leatherleaf ferns flower? We know they have this beautiful foliage, but what about blooms?
Well, the answer is no. Like all true ferns, they do not produce flowers or seeds. They produce spores. If you ever flip a mature frond over and see rows of prominent rust-colored or brownish spots, please, whatever you do, don't panic. These are called sori, and they hold the microscopic spores the fern uses to reproduce out in the wild. It's just a completely natural part of the plant's life cycle, definitely not a disease or some kind of crazy infestation.
Section 5. Pests and common problems. Defending your fern. While these plants are generally pretty robust, you should definitely monitor for some common indoor gardening threats. Scale insects look like hard or waxy little bumps on the stems. Mealybugs, they like to hide in dense foliage and look like small white cottony spots. Spider mites leave behind a very fine webbing and give the leaves this kind of dusty appearance. To keep all these guys at bay, just regularly inspect the undersides of the fronds and the base of the plant. If you do spot them, usually just gently wiping the leaves with a damp cloth or maybe using a cotton swab dipped in rubbing alcohol is totally enough to stop an infestation right in its tracks.
Now, beyond insects, the most common environmental problem you'll probably face is crispy edges. But remember what we talked about earlier. This is just the plant communicating with you. Crispy edges usually just mean the fern is thirsty for ambient humidity. This happens a lot during those dry winter months when we've all got our indoor heating running. A really quick fix: just set the fern's pot on a pebble tray filled with water or give the air around it a light misting. It's such an easy adjustment, but it keeps that foliage looking absolutely pristine.
Which brings us to our final thought. The source text leaves us with this really wonderful quote. Not all ferns need to be high maintenance to be beautiful. And I think the leatherleaf fern proves that completely. You can absolutely have lush, classic woodland greenery right in your home without the constant everyday stress of caring for a delicate diva plant. Its resilience makes it truly special. Honestly, it kind of leaves you wondering, if the leatherleaf fern is this easy and this beautiful, what other low-maintenance botanicals are out there just waiting to confidently be added to your collection? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy growing!